interestingly enough, I had seen Brian Parrish's name on the front page of the newspaper a long time ago. Called up Jane Ashley, and I saw this Homeland Security person who lives in Oakland County. It's not really interesting. Help me connect. Can't wait to be here next week. Mike Simpson tried to get him, and then got COVIDed out. Yeah, as I recall. Yeah. So we're going to get Brian Parrish.
And Brian just called me. He definitely is going to be here next week.
I'm counting on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then I said, well, Jane Ashley, were there any other folks that jumped off the page that somebody you read about, that you wrote about, and said, that'd make a good Rotary speaker? And she said, well, there's a young man retiring after 26 and a half years, and I've always enjoyed him as a dispatcher. Tom McCane, you need to reach out to him. And I did, and I'm looking forward to what he's got to share today. Tom moved here from Trimble County back in 1970 with his parents. He graduated from Oldham County High School in 1985, then worked in the machine shop that made printing cylinders until 1990. Then he was laid off. So he joined the Army, active duty until 1994, served in Kentucky National Guard until 97, then began working at Oldham County Dispatch August 1997, and worked there for 26 and a half. You didn't put the half on your paper. I said, well, that half's important. He said, well, it counts. That's how I got retired.
Retirement helps, doesn't it?
It does.
He's been married to Alma. 40 years between them. They have 5 kids and 9 grandkids. Please welcome Tom McCane.
Thank you, Al. Thank you all for having me today. It's an honor to be here. Bo actually contacted me and asked if I'd be interested, and gave me Al's contact information. So it was just an honor to be asked. Not much of a public speaker. My wife says, well, you can sit behind the mic all day with all the responders and thousands of people in Scannerland listening, but you can't talk in front of people. I said, well, it's the eyeballs staring at me. But when you think of 911, I'm sure the first thing comes to everybody's mind is, that's who I call if I have an emergency. And that is true. Most calls to 911 are emergencies. A lot of people call the worst day of their life that they're having. But then there's some, you just sit back and what was that? You know, I was sitting there one day, 911 rang. I pick it up. The lady said, I turned my dryer on. My cat was in the dryer. What do I do? She was frantic. I went, let's turn the dryer off. Oh, I didn't think of that. After making sure cat was okay, no response needed. Another lady called 911, and she had a pet bird she let fly around her house and flew out the window into a tree. She wanted me to send the fire department to help get the bird out of the tree. I went, ma'am, all due respect. Fire department gets there and they start climbing that tree. What's the bird going to do? It's going to fly away. She said, well, what do I do? I went, leave your window open. It knows where its food is. More than likely, it's going to come back in. I've never heard if it did or not. But that's just a couple funny calls. You know, you get them all the time. But then sometimes you have what we call the frequent flyers. They call 911 for any and everything. Sometimes you'll talk to them 3-4 times a day.
Oh, wow.
And you get frustrated with them, but you have to be professional. You sit there and you say, they're really concerned about this, even though it's not an emergency, even though you know that how the police have already told them to handle the situation, but yet they're calling back, same situation. So you just put yourself in their shoes. You have a little empathy. And you dispatch it out to an officer. Hey, they called again. They're wishing to speak with you again. That's about all we can do for those. And you've got callers that sometimes maybe have a little mental issue. I remember one young man, he had a traumatic brain injury back in his younger years and had a leg amputated during his accident. And he would call us frequently, sometimes 3-4 times a day. And I was talking to him one day and I said, what's going on today, buddy? He goes, somebody's adjusted my leg and made it longer than my other leg. I went, buddy, I'll tell you what, I'll have an officer come over and see you. Sent the officer over. Officer talked to him for a few minutes and he was satisfied. He'd call and he'd say, somebody's taken the food out of my refrigerator. They've stole it. He'd eaten it and forgotten. You know, I got to where I really loved talking with him because he just wanted somebody to talk to. That's all he wanted. He's moved to Jefferson County now to a self-assistant living home. So he doesn't call anymore. Another gentleman in Grange, he had a little bit of dementia, maybe some Alzheimer's. He would call and he would just go off on us, call us every name in the book. And we'd finally get him calmed down. I'd say, no. Now, Herb, you got to calm down. I can't help you. He goes, well, he said, I tell you what, I'm Elvis Presley's cousin, and I'm going to send every general in Fort Knox down on you, boy. I just laughed, and finally he'd calm down and he'd be fine. And that man, one day, it was Christmas, the doorbell rang at work, and it was him. And we go to the door to see what he needed. And he had brought a complete Christmas dinner down for everyone at dispatch. He had bought it all at Kroger. Thank goodness I wouldn't have wanted to eat his cooking. But that's just some of the calls we take. You know, there are some very serious calls I've taken that are etched in my mind and in my heart. When you take a call just recently, not too long ago before I retired, it was on a Sunday morning. It was calm. Sunday mornings are usually pretty calm at dispatch. 911 rang. I picked it up, and there's a female sobbing on the other end of the line. She goes, I need help. I went, what's going on, ma'am? She gave me her address. She said, my ex-boyfriend, he broke into my house overnight. He's assaulted me all night long. He's taken my phone. He's broken my phone. He left. I ran to a neighbor's to call you. I kept her on the phone until I could get a police officer there for her. Just try to help her feel a little safer. You know, I, you know, that's all we can do on our end. The police, and of course, we send an ambulance. They take her to the hospital to get her checked out. But now I'm wondering, because we don't know the end story. That's the problem with 911 dispatch sometimes. You don't see the ending. You take the call, you send the responders, and that's it. You often wonder, where are they today? What are they doing today? Did they make it? I did read an article in the paper where they had arrested her assailant. And I was so glad that he's behind bars. One of the hardest calls you can take is children. I remember feed lady mother called. She lived in a remote part of the county, way out off 42, down off Oregon Creek Road in that area. If you're familiar with the county, there's no way to get there fast. She's got her baby in her arms, a month old. It's not breathing. I went through the infant CPR protocol. And from what she was telling me, I knew it wasn't going to do any good. But we went through CPR anyway with that child until EMS got there. And then EMS transported it to Children's Hospital. But later, when I talked to the paramedic, he said it wasn't good. It was not going to survive. I remember it was pretty early in my career. I was actually working with the director that hired me at the time. He was working the floor that day. Jim Morris. I don't know if any of y'all know Jim Morris. I know Steve probably does. Bo, I think, does. We were working together. I took a call. Lady found her 75-year-old father down, deceased. I got the help she needed going. She wanted to do CPR, so I walked her through the CPR until we got help there. I hang up. As I'm hanging up, 911's ringing again. Something else about 911 dispatch. You got to answer that next call. It can't just ring. Take a bad call, hang up, that phone's ringing, you've got to answer it. I answer it, and there's a sobbing parent on the other end of the line. They found their 3-year-old in their pool. So I had another CPR to walk through. Within 15 minutes, 2 CPRs. They revived the child that was in the pool, and he was going to be fine. But just the stress of those 2 calls. We take a lot of calls from the interstate. The interstate runs right through the middle of the county. Vehicle complaints, people speeding, people swerving, people thinking people's drunk. You probably know. But we had a serious accident on the interstate one day. And we were just lambasted with calls. I'd probably answered 50 calls on this accident. And I was picking up the phone going, 911, are you calling about the accident at the 21-mile marker northbound? Yes, we are. Thanks, we've got it. Click. 911, you calling about the accident? 21-mile marker northbound. Yes, we are. Okay, we've got it. Thank you. And I was just doing that left and right. All of a sudden I pick up and I say, 911, are you calling about the accident on I-71? No, sir, I need an ambulance. Boom, you got to do an about face that quick. Get their information, get them the help they need, along with answering all of those calls coming in for the accident and dispatching the responders to the accident. Now you've got another incident to dispatch. Very stressful sometimes, very stressful. Domestics, I hate domestic calls. I've sat and listened. Females have gotten beaten by their husbands, not able to do a thing. I've sat and listened actually to some males get beaten by their wives, not able to do a thing. I listened to a female get shot. Non-life threatening, thank goodness, but her husband shot her while she was on the phone with us. And you hear that, that's etched in your mind forever. You know, sometimes I wonder how I made it 26 and a half years. I really do. But I love the job. I love helping people. And I put myself in their shoes. And I think, what would I do if that was a member of my family? Not all calls are bad. You've heard a couple of the funny ones. Sometimes we know the ending, and it's a happy ending. Trust me. Some of y'all probably read this one in the Old Mirror. I sitting there one day. Dispatch was full of people that day for some reason. We had IT people. We had some firefighters in there. We had a couple of police officers in there. It was just a lot of people in there that day. I don't remember exactly why. And 911 rings. I picked it up and go, 911, where's your emergency? He gives me his address. I said, what's going on today, sir? He said, I need an ambulance. My wife's full-term labor, and I don't think I'll be able to get her to the hospital in time. I went, sure, I'll get you an ambulance. So I'm updating the ticket, putting everything in, and I hear her go in the background, honey, I've got to push. I went, oh, to myself, this is changing everything. So I quickly went over to the child birth guidelines. And I said, where is she? He said, she's laying on the couch. I went, what's she wearing? He said, she's got like a pair of maternity sweatpants on. I said, let's get those pants off. And I could hear him struggling. He said, I'm having a hard time. And I put a little urgency in my voice. Didn't realize I said it so loud. I go, get those pants off any way you can. And everybody just stopped, stood up, turned around and looked at me. People down the hall in the offices heard it and come walking up the hall to see what was going on. I turned around to my partner. I said, can you please dispatch EMS and fire department first responders? We're going to deliver a baby. Went back to my phone call, and it was happening quick. I was going down the list very, very quickly with protocols. He told me, he said, its head's coming out. What do I do? I said, put your hand under it, cradle it. And next thing I know, he said, the baby's out. I went, okay. I just held my breath. And then I heard the baby cry. And I took a deep breath and I said, wow. I was just thinking, wow, I just brought a life into this world. I just helped bring a life into this world. And got on the radio because EMS had not arrived yet. And I told them that we had a baby. And they said, we're about 10 seconds out. So they got there and I'm just exhausted. I'm just back in the chair. I'm glad it was sort of slow that day. I'm just exhausted. And they call, I think it was mid 9:38. They said mid 38 to OCD. My partner answered for me. She goes, go ahead, mid 9:38. You have a healthy baby boy. And that happened about 4 years ago. But there's, calls that stick with you. There's calls that I'll never forget. That's just not even a fraction of the thousands and thousands of calls I've taken. Some of them I don't remember. Of course, not all of them stick with you. A simple theft report or something like that. But it's been a wonderful career. I enjoyed it. And, Bo, I'd probably still be doing it if I hadn't had these medical situations come up. I've had some medical diagnoses that doctor told me you've got to lower your stress. So my wife and I talked and made the decision to go ahead and retire. But I thank everyone for your time today. It's been an honor to speak with you, and I'll open it up if anyone's got any questions.
Tom, I know a while ago you said you had a lot of calls on the interstate for accidents.
Yes.
And there's a lot of folks probably in here that don't ever travel I-71 and don't have a clue of the number of accidents that we actually have. And I know you don't have stats or any numbers or anything, but can you share with just how many accidents we do get on I-71?
Oh, wow. Sometimes now, especially with the construction going on,
Right.
it's at least one or two, maybe 3 or 4 a day.
A day. Yeah. And we've had a couple fatalities.
Yes.
Because of that.
I remember some terrible accidents where a teenager was ejected and the people behind them couldn't get out of the way and ran over him. It's terrible accidents happen on that interstate. That is a very dangerous interstate.
Mhm. It
Very
is.
dangerous interstate.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we work 12-hour shifts. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the shift I work. During that time, I'd say, because our CAD system actually runs a tally all through service, and it's nothing to take 180 to 200 in 12 hours. Some of those are serious. Some of them are, just log notes that we make, and that's on a normal day. If you have a busy day, it's nothing to go well over 200.
How many of you manned in a shift? Is it 2 on a shift?
2 on a shift. Ideally, there would be 3, but there is usually 2.
Then you work 4 days a week?
It's a rotating days. We work 12 hours. I would like work Monday, Tuesday, be off Wednesday, Thursday, work the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then be off Monday, Tuesday, work Wednesday, Thursday. And then every other weekend, you get that 3-day weekend. So that gives you a little break.
Ever have opportunity to meet some of the people you know?
No. Well, I take that back. 1. I think I mentioned this in the Odomera. Lady, her daughter had got mixed up in the wrong crowd in Chicago. It was a gang. And she left and come back here. And the gang was coming after her. They said they were going to kill her, her mother, and burn their house down. So we got police dispatched. They caught the gang members just up the street from the house. Her mother actually come down to dispatch to personally hand me a thank you letter. And it made it all worth it.
you remember the phone call came through, the phone came, that you know who you're talking to?
I remember that one. No, actually, I was working, it was my partner that took that call. And he basically said, I don't care who you are.
Judge Vogel.
No. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, thank you. Hold on. Don't walk away. Don't walk away
Okay.
yet.
Oh,
Give a
I'm taking it
small-
I had
Go
I
ahead.
had the opportunity of working with Tom, obviously, just through our association in law enforcement and dispatch. So I've heard his voice many times. And I've heard a whole lot of the calls that he has dispatched. And yeah, believe me, he's answered and dispatched many runs. So I personally say thank you for your service
thank you.
and good luck with your retirement. Now, Al has a presentation to give to you.
You know, I think you'll agree with me as you listen to Tom share his experiences as a dispatcher. Empathy is a word that really describes the kind of dispatcher he was. Your empathy for the people you would listen to, always trying to think, how would I feel if that was my kid, my parent, or how would I respond in their shoes? And that kind of empathy is really wonderful from our public servants. And so as a token of our appreciation for your career and speaking to us today, we have our Rotary coin with the 4-way test on it.
Thank you.
And we will make a donation in your name to stop polio worldwide, Rotary Polio Plus. We're so thankful for having you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
I'd say it about wraps it up. Mike, did you buy a ticket?
I did.
Okay, who didn't buy a ticket? Al, would you do the spinning for us, please?
$79. Or a pizza coupon.
Last 3 digits. Spin again and you hit the Rotary wheel spot.
You might know it.
You win.
I get happy with whoever wins.
I don't.
You did.
Oh, just. All right, the number is 409.
She's real fine, my 409.
Is there any coincidence here? All right, Green.
Spin them up.
Here we go.
Pizza.
Pizza man.
Pizza. We gotta get rid of these though.
All right, save the batch. One more.
You don't get both, huh?
Retired jailer.
Yes.
Yes, we've,
right.
you serviced us.
All right,
Elton
folks,
County
thank you all very
Detention
kindly.
Facility for all
If
those
no
years.
other
I mean, I
business,
did
we will adjourn.
7.
Right.
I don't know if anybody will ever be that stupid, who wants to run. Well, I just wanted to say hi, Mike Simpson.
Well, thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Hey, Eric.
Thank you.
Exactly what I was thinking you could do. It was wonderful, really.
Thank
Tell
you,
your
sir.
wife, yeah.
Would you be
Held
interested
everybody's
in
attention.
joining the
Can you
board?
take a
Okay.
picture of me and my friend Tom? Get up here by Rotary.
Yeah.